Welcome to AI Dispatch, your channel for the latest AI videos on YouTube. If you don't want to miss these updates, please like, subscribe, and share. Lenny's podcast presents Qasar Younis, CEO of Applied Intuition. His company has reached a $15 billion valuation with 18 of the top 20 automakers as customers, yet operates on a financial principle that defies Silicon Valley convention. They have never spent a single dollar of the venture capital they raised. Younis argues that the AI revolution everyone is watching chatbots and large language models is a distraction from the real transformation, which he calls physical AI, and he believes it will arrive precisely when demographic collapse makes it essential. To understand these claims, we need to know who is making them. Qasar Younis is the co-founder and CEO of Applied Intuition, a $15 billion company that provides autonomy software to 18 of the top 20 automakers. Before founding his company, he spent over a decade as an engineer at General Motors and Bosch, and later served as chief operating officer at Y Combinator. His experience spans both legacy industrial organizations and Silicon Valley's fastest moving startups, positioning him uniquely to assess where these worlds collide. Consider a company valued at $15 billion that serves nearly every major automaker on the planet. Now, consider that this company has raised substantial venture capital but operates entirely on its own cash flow, never touching the funds investors provided. Qasar Younis built Applied Intuition on this paradox, and in doing so, he dismantles the entire Silicon Valley narrative that hypergrowth requires burning through investor money. Younis opens with a diagnosis that contradicts the prevailing narrative about artificial intelligence. While public attention fixates on large language models and conversational chatbots, he contends the actual disruption lies elsewhere. He calls it physical AI intelligence embedded not in text generation, but in machines that move, build, and harvest. His reasoning connects directly to a labour market crisis that most people have not yet recognised. The average age of a farmer in the United States is now in their late 50s. Trucking and mining face similar demographic cliffs. Younger generations refuse these jobs. They are dangerous, isolating, and physically grueling. Younis argues we are not headed toward a surplus of labour that robots will displace. We are headed toward a vacuum of labour that only autonomy can fill. Without injecting intelligence into these physical industries, the cost of food, construction, and transport will skyrocket simply because there will be no humans left willing to do the work. His credibility on this topic comes from direct experience inside the industries he now serves. Younis spent over a decade working as an engineer at General Motors and Bosch. He learnt firsthand how stifling bureaucracy can be and how difficult it is to innovate within legacy structures. That experience did not just teach him about the industries he sells to, it shaped his entire philosophy on how a founder should build a company culture that empowers its employees. Younis then delivers what he calls an engineering heresy about what these robots will actually look like. Our brains, which he describes as monkey brains, default to imagining humanoid robots that resemble us. He asserts this is a fundamental error. The most successful robot will not be a walking android. It will be intelligence injected into machines that already exist. He points out that the heavy lifting of engineering, building a tractor that can move dirt or a car that can withstand a crash, has already been solved over the last 100 years. The paradigm shift is not reinventing the body. It is simply adding the brain. He believes the obsession with humanoids is a distraction from the immediate massive value of making existing heavy machinery autonomous. This connects to his forecast for self-driving cars, which runs counter to mainstream thinking about pricing. Currently, we view autonomous driving capabilities as a luxury add-on costing thousands of dollars. Younis predicts that within 5 to 7 years, this technology will follow the trajectory of GPS navigation. Remember when you had to pay extra for a navigation unit in your car? Now it is free on your phone. He believes L2++ autonomy systems that handle most driving but require supervision will become ubiquitous and effectively free due to downward pricing pressure. He frames this not as a premium feature, but as a basic safety expectation. In his view, in 20 to 30 years, we will look back at humans driving cars the same way we currently look back at child labour in the Industrial Revolution, a dangerous, barbaric necessity that society happily outgrew. There is a small detail about Younis that serves as a powerful metaphor for his entire philosophy. He is a car enthusiast who details his own vehicles, but he does not just polish the visible surfaces. He meticulously cleans the parts no one will ever see like the inside of the wheel wells. It is a personal expression of a deeper ethos of craft and maintenance. The belief that the quality of the work matters, especially the parts that are hidden. This focus on unseen excellence is a direct echo of his business strategy. Younis built a $15 billion decacorn by violating the building public orthodoxy of modern startups. In an era where founders are told to be influencers, tweet constantly, and build a personal brand to attract talent, Younis did the exact opposite. His core value is our best work is done alone and quietly. During the interview, this philosophy came to life in a dramatic way. For years, Younis and his co-founder intentionally kept such a low profile that he was not even on social media. It was only recently, after persistent nudges from his peers, that he finally joined X. His very first post, a simple hello, immediately drew millions of views and a direct reply from Elon Musk. It was a stunning validation of his approach. When you do the work quietly for long enough, your results speak so loudly that even a simple hello becomes an event. Younis has a remarkable backstory that explains why this contrarian, quiet approach feels so natural to him. As an immigrant who came from a farm in Pakistan and grew up in the automotive heartland of Warren, Michigan, he says he felt like an outsider for most of his early life. That experience of being on the periphery gave him a deep-seated skepticism of mainstream thinking and a preference for focusing on the work itself rather than the noise surrounding it. This is not just a business tactic. It is a core part of his identity. The cognitive shock here is his financial discipline. Despite raising massive rounds of capital to reach that $15 billion valuation, Applied Intuition has never actually spent the money they raised. They operate entirely on their own cash flow. This completely invalidates the excuse used by many unicorn founders that blitzscaling requires burning cash. Younis proves that with extreme discipline, or what he calls radical pragmatism, you can scale a hardware-adjacent software giant without being dependent on venture capital handouts. Shifting to the geopolitical landscape, Younis offers a paradigm-shattering perspective on competition with China. Western analysts often compare companies like Huawei to Apple or Google, looking at their profit and loss statements to gauge their health. Younis argues this is a category error that blinds us to the threat. He notes that Huawei literally translates to China's ambition. His point is that you cannot analyze Chinese tech giants as companies. They are extensions of state will. If a Western company loses money, it dies. If a Chinese national champion loses money but achieves a strategic state goal, it is considered a success. He warns that American anxiety often stems from trying to apply capitalist market logic to entities that are playing a completely different game one, where profit is secondary to national dominance. This global perspective is not just theoretical for Younis, it also shapes his company's unique internal culture in surprising ways. Having lived and worked in Japan, he brought back several practices that you would not typically find in Silicon Valley. For instance, Applied Intuition has a no-shoe policy in the office, and every week the entire team participates in a cleaning zen where they tidy up their own workspaces together. It is a small ritual, but it reflects a larger philosophy of shared responsibility, humility, and respect for the environment where the work gets done. Finally, he challenges the intellectual pedigree of the financial elite. To understand his authority on this subject, it helps to know that Younis is not just an engineer, he also has a Harvard MBA. His time there exposed him to the world of high finance and extreme wealth. And he came away with a surprising observation. Many of the big players in public markets lack the deep, technical edge that outsiders assume they have. This first-hand experience directly informs his view of how investors are reacting to the AI narrative today. We tend to assume that hedge funds and institutional investors possess deep, proprietary models when they sell off tech stocks. Younis suggests the reality is far more banal and surprising. He believes much of the market panic around AI sustainability comes from hedge funds hiring consultants to build simple toy apps in a week. When these consultants come back with a flimsy prototype, the investors incorrectly assume that if a consultant can build it in a week, the moat of $1 billion SaaS company must be non-existent. Younis argues they are mistaking vibe coding and surface-level demos for the deep, complex integrations that actually power enterprise software. They are pricing in risk based on a misunderstanding of how hard the last 10% of engineering really is. According to his timeline, the shift to ubiquitous autonomy is not a distant science fiction dream, but a near-term inevitability driven by safety statistics. As he starkly puts it, over 30,000 people will die in car accidents in the United States next year, and eventually society will simply stop accepting that statistic as the cost of doing business. If you're interested in the video featured in this episode, click the link below to watch the original.